Hello and welcome to Tool of the Day number 48. Ain't it great? Oh, number 48. Well, today's tool is a tool that I had to reach for. And I'll tell you what, I was working on a part of the fire truck. This is a piece that I sanded down and repainted. And this holds the tank down in the fire truck. It hooks onto the edge of the tank. And at this end, this threaded rod goes through the body of the truck, and then a nut goes on. While this was really badly rusted and pitted and damaged. And so I had to try to either repair these threads or cut this bolt off and weld on a new one. And I didn't want to do that because you always want to keep the original parts on the truck if you can. So I reached for tool 48. And tool 48 is called a die. It's called a die, and what it does is it has little teeth inside there, and those teeth are what is used to cut threads. If this was just a steel rod of the right size, I could put this on and actually put the threads on there. It'll cut those threads. So I put a few drops of oil on there to keep it cool and to protect the teeth on the die. And this is a 1/2 inch 13 coarse thread, national coarse thread. And so I was able to put that on, and I was able to clean up the teeth on. Look at how nice that goes on now. Of course I've already used it and threaded it on, and you can see it threads it right up. And any bits of rust or corrosion, or if there's a thread that was just kind of banged on, maybe somebody used a hammer at some point to bang on it, then it flattened out the threads. And so this die, it cleaned up all of those threads. And in fact, you can kind of tell when you look at this, because I had put a little bit of paint over it. I said, hey, I'm going to use a die, and so I know that it'll clean the paint off. And it did. So let me take that off and give you a close-up. Now, a die fixes threaded material. You can see that there's definitely some damage on there, but the threads are looking really nice. Okay? So, but what about the bolt? Now the bolt, you can't use a die because the bolt is opposite, right? This would be known as male threads and female bolt. And so how do I get that to go on? Well, the threads on this were a little beat up too. So the other part of Tool of the Day 48 is Tool of the Day 49. That's right. It's a 2-in-1. It's called a tap. T-A-P. This is a tap. And this tap is the same size as this die, and together they solve problems. So I used this tap to clean out the threads of my bolt, and it recut them and rethread them so nicely. And now this 1934 bolt fits right on to this 1934 fire truck water tank hold down, and the only reason it does is because of the weight of the tap and the die set. Now sets of these come in every size. If you have a tiny bolt or a big bolt, there's kits you can get that have about 30 different sizes. And there's two types of threads. There's coarse thread, which is what this is. And here's an example of maybe a little better close-up of coarse thread. And then there's also fine thread, which have more threads per inch. It's known as national fine and national coarse. So you have to pick what kind of thread you have, and then you have to pick the diameter. And then usually it measures in how many threads per inch. In my case, there's 13 threads per inch. There could be 20 threads per inch, which is common, or 24, or 28 even. Pretty cool. So tool of the day number 48 is the die. And tool of the day number 49, it's so divine, is the tap. And there you go, and there you have it. Tap and die, everyone. Yodel, 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 yodel.